All right, by the end of this video, you're going to know absolutely everything from start to finish on how to start and scale your AI agency to at least the 10K a month mark. But if you put in all of this, you can get to the point where you're doing 20, 30, 40, 50K a month mark, just like a lot of the agencies that we work with. But look, first thing I want to say is look, if any of you guys want any specific parts of this or anything in general about starting and scaling your AI agency, if you want me to make a separate video going in depth on certain individual aspects that I show in here, much more in depth, just comment and let me know what part of it you want me to cover. And I will make a separate video going in depth on every single aspect of that. If I did that in this video, it would be 10 hours long. So I'm going to be covering every single thing from A to Z in terms of the process, what you need to implement to start and scale. But if you want me to go in depth, just comment below and I'll create a separate video going over it. But look, why should you even trust me? Why should you listen to what I'm saying? Because I run a company called Insight AI. We've done a little over $500,000 selling AI in about the last kind of 12, 13 months here. And so you can see right here that I'm not lying. I can even refresh this for you because I want to show you that this is legit. And we have partners and clients that we're working with who are doing 10K, 20K, 30K per client selling voice AI. I'm going to show you everything inside of this video. So as you can see here, this is legit. Now let's head over and let's get into this because I want to show you guys, I don't want to waste any more time. So let's just hop over to the Lucid here. All right. So what we have here, guys, there's going to be a few things that we're covering. All right. First thing, how to identify a business need, selecting a good niche, a profitable niche. Let me actually hop over to this one over here. Beautiful. Much better. How to develop an AI offer, how to outreach to businesses, how to close the deals, and how to deliver AI solutions. And look, there's a couple main things that I want to cover, right? Firstly, how do you select a profitable niche? A lot of people overthink this, and we're going to be going deep into that. The other big one is how to close deals, because look, you want to charge 5, 10K up front, right? And if you've never closed a client like that, you might be thinking, who am I to charge this kind of price, right? And that's completely normal. Everybody thinks that. But as long as you have a solution that can provide a value that's 5 to 10 times greater than that, which you do if you're selling voice AI, you can charge 10K up front regardless of who you are, regardless of your experience, anything like that. I'm going to show you that in depth about how to go about that. The other big one is how to deliver and how to build the AI solutions if you're not a tech person. Because this is another one, right? A lot of people, those are the three biggest kind of beliefs that I see people have that need to be shattered and rebuilt so that you can do well with this. So, first things first, what is the big difference between this, right? So, firstly, this is a specialized offer, right? This is not a commodity. A commodity is something where you can just find it anywhere, right? Things like lead gen, those other services that you see everybody offering. And I used to do that. If you're doing that, I was in the same position about a year and a half ago. And look, this is what my payments were looking like from lead gen, $300, $1,000, $1,500 a month, nothing crazy. But then when I switched to a specialized offer, I was working the same amount, maybe even less, honestly, and closing $9,000, $9,400, $12,000 deals selling AI to businesses. And so there's a system that we follow. It's called the AI Agency Success Pyramid. And so there's a few main aspects of this. Let me zoom in a bit more here. One, niche selection. Client acquisition is number two, and prospect qualification, deal closure, fulfillment outsourcing, and process repetition. And I'm going to cover all this inside of here. So let's get into it. And look, I'm going to be dropping a lot of sauce here. We've spent over $100,000 in the last 12 months learning all this stuff, and I'm just going to give it away inside this video here. So by the end, you're going to know absolutely everything because we did it the hard way. I want you guys to be able to do it the easy way. So what's the first thing we're going to be covering? It's identifying a business need, all right? And so there's a lot of different ways that businesses are willing to pay money for AI. Let's full screen this bad boy. There we go. And so there's a lot of ways businesses are willing to pay for money, but there's three main ones that businesses are willing to pay the most for because of one main thing. And that main thing is that these directly correlate to more revenue, right? Because you can pay for other aspects like, a client success team, better fulfillment, all this sort of stuff, but that doesn't lead directly to more revenue. Of course, it helps the business grow and it can in turn lead to more revenue, but directly correlated with revenue is three main things. One, leads, two, appointments, three, sales. So those are the main three, right? One, lead gen, how you're getting leads, right? Leads coming to your business. You can never have too many leads. And then two is appointments. How many of these leads are you booking for appointments to then close, which leads to three, sales. So these are the main ways businesses are willing to pay a lot of money. And so if you can solve these three things, you're creating a very, very valuable offer. Even if you solve only one of these things, you're creating a very, very valuable offer. And now the main one we're going to be solving with Voice AI is the appointments, number two here. And so you see these three stairs are, leading to different directions, but there's a point behind this where they all meet up if you want to offer all three. Or you can offer two out of three, or one. Us personally, we would only do appointments, lead gen, or appointments with the AI. So that way we build the AI into a business and it's automating the appointment booking. Leads are coming through, the AI is calling them right away and booking appointments into the business. That's very, very appealing for a business who has maybe a team of appointment setters who are getting tired. They're working all day on the phones, where the AI can just completely automate that entire process and those people can go do something else. That's very, very valuable to a business. And then if you start, we start implementing these other aspects of it, the lead gen, the sales, now you're getting really, really valuable. You can charge 5 to 15K for just the appointment side of things. We've done it. Our clients have done it. Our partners have done it. You can do it. Now, if you start offering other things, lead gen, for example, now you're running the ads for the business. You're generating them leads, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, DM outreach. There's a lot of different ways to generate leads. But let's say the ads you're running, you're doing the ads for the business, and now the leads that are getting generated from those ads are being called by the AI, which is then in turn booking those appointments. Now you have two of these taken care of. Now you're minimum charging 10K for this. There's no way you charge less than 10K for this. Maybe like 8 or 9K, but I wouldn't go below that, honestly. And then you're also going to be chucking a nice monthly retainer on there for the ads and then also the AI. Now, another thing, a lot of beginners can't really help with the sales side of things, right? Because you're just not experienced in sales, which is the way it goes, and nothing you can do about that. So you don't really need to worry about this. But if you are experienced in sales, which some of you very well may be, you can help with the sales side of things, whether this is placing a good closer, helping refine the sales process, whatever it may be, improving their script. Now you're covering all three. This is a 20 to 30K upfront payment. Maybe like I've seen people charge even 40, 50K for stuff like this. Now you're getting really, really valuable. But look, let's say you're ground zero, similar to where we started, and a lot of the clients we work with zero experience. You've never done this before. Maybe you're very early in the agency, less than 10K a month. You're going to want to focus on the appointments. And that's where the AI, the voice AI, really shines. So now that we know how to identify business needs, how do we select a niche to go after? And this is something a lot of people massively, massively overthink. I've seen people spend 3 months, 6 months, 12 months selecting a niche, which is just absolutely fucked. For lack of a better word, it is just absolutely fucked. You cannot be spending that amount of time picking a niche. I could literally throw a dart at a dartboard covered in different niches, and whatever niche that dart hits, go after and get to 10, 20, 30K a month. The niche does not matter. What matters is the systems you have in place. We have partners doing well in all niches. We've closed clients in all niches. You can close niche clients for Voice AI in the most obscure niches. We have partners who are closing nonprofits. One of them just closed a fireplace company. There's art galleries. There's of course real estate, solar, insurance, the main, common niches. There's also those super obscure niches. So don't think you have to settle for something that is like, oh, I'm going to go after dentists because everybody's going after dentists. Terrible mindset for picking a niche. Pick any niche. I saw somebody come to me and they're like, I'm gonna go after funeral parlors or whatever they're called. And I was like, damn, I've never heard somebody say that. That means it's a good fucking niche. If I've never heard somebody go after that, that is a good way to go. I also heard somebody say retirement homes. I'm like, damn, they make a lot of calls, and I've never heard somebody say they're going after retirement homes. So that's a good niche because it doesn't matter. There's more than enough businesses in every niche. Every niche is going to have qualified businesses and unqualified businesses. You just want to make sure your systems are in place to get the qualified businesses on your calendar. And that's what we're going to cover here. So these are just some examples of good niches in the home service space. Home services is a good one. There's a ton of home service companies. And with the rise of AI, there's going to need to be more home service companies. Roofers, HVAC, pool openers, plumbers, electricians, construction. See, like pool openers is probably the most niche out of home services. I don't know anybody that's going after pool companies with Voice AI. That's a good niche. Professionals, you got lawyers, accountants, dentists, doctors, real estate agents. I know people going after all of these niches and they're doing well. Info products, coaches, consultants, e-commerce, SaaS, marketing agencies. I know a lot of people going after marketing agencies. Info products out of these three is probably the group of niches that I see people going after the least. So you can't go wrong with it because more and more people are getting in the info product space all the time. So what do you guys learned about how to pick a niche? Any niche works as long as you have the systems in place, and I'm going to show you how to set up these systems here. I'm going to do a quick overview, and if you want me to go more in depth on picking a niche, like I said, comment below. I'll create a separate video on how to pick a niche, and it'll probably be a 10-second video of me just saying pick any niche, and then go watch my systems videos. That's probably what the video would be. So there's really not too much to think about with the niche. The best part is don't overthink it. Pick a niche, and then follow all the systems that I show you here to target that niche effectively. And look, if you want more in-depth stuff, you can click. There's a couple links below this video that are going to show you more in-depth side of things. You can go check those out. I have a ton of stuff on YouTube that'll help you out. But if you do want to kind of take a step and take things more seriously, you can click a link below and check it out. But now, we know how to identify the business needs. We know how to select a profitable niche. Now, how do we develop an AI offer? How do we create just a juicy, juicy package of whatever we want to call it, voice agents, chatbots? What do we want to put in this to have businesses throwing their money at us? Because I don't want businesses being like, you know what, man, this is interesting. Here's your money. I want them to take a wad of cash and throw it at my face because they're like, this is the best damn offer I've ever seen. That's what I want to be seeing. And so to do that, you need to have everything aligned, right? Business needs, select a profitable niche, which again is any niche, and now develop a good AI offer. So when it comes to developing a good AI offer, what do you want to have in here? Because like we discussed, right, there's three main things that we want to help the business with. The main needs: lead gen, appointments, sales. So how can we construct an offer that is going to solve one out of three of those, three out of three of those, right? Again, you can still charge 5, 10, 15K for just solving appointments, but you can also charge a lot more if you solve all three. So how can we go about that? Lead gen, for example, the first one. Lead gen, there's a lot of ways you can go about it, right? Ads are the main thing, right? You can set up funnels for them. You can do this whole infrastructure build for them. So you can do, the targeted ads, the funnels, all the automations, all that sort of stuff. Again, one thing I have found is that when you're targeting businesses who you're trying to charge, 10, 20K up front for, a lot of them are making enough to where they don't need you to do lead gen. Because if they're in a position where they can pay 20K up front, 10K up front, they're usually at a point where they're making good money. They don't need, somebody to do lead gen unless you're a genuine expert on it. That's what we've seen. But appointment setting, they're always willing to pay for. Always. Doesn't matter. We've worked with, businesses making 2K a month to businesses making, multiple 8 figures a year. And so they can all benefit from this. So when it comes to the ads, you can run their Facebook ads, build their funnels, their Google ads, their YouTube ads, whatever it is, right? Lead gen. And so I have more videos going over the ad side of things. I'm not going to break down how to set up a whole campaign and stuff in here, but you can check that out if you want on my channel. And then inside of the appointment setting, this is the main one we're going to be focusing on because this is where the AI itself really shines. We have our own AI platform. Our main focus is the voice AI, right? You can do all these other things. You can't charge nearly as much for it. If you were to do any of these standalone, if you were just to sell lead gen, just to sell appointment setting with the voice AI, or just to sell sales training and that sort of stuff, the appointment setting is the best way that somebody with no experience is going to make the most money. And so that's why that's what we focus on. You build the AI into a business to do automatic AI follow-ups, automated sequences, lead qualification, bookings for them. That's what we want to have the AI do. And you want to frame it in a way to where, which I'll kind of cover more in the sales side of it here, but you don't want to sell an AI bot. You want to sell the outcome that it's going to do for this business. Hey, you're not selling, hey, this is an AI caller. This is an appointment booking AI solution that we can build into your business to make it so that you never need to dial another phone. You get all the hours back that you've been spending dialing to do what you want in the business, work on the business instead of in it. And we can just let this AI do that autopilot for you while getting just as many, if not more, bookings coming through for you without you even need to put a single bit of effort into it, into managing it, training it. We'll do it all for you. And then you can really work on what matters in the business. That's appealing to a business. That's what you want to be selling, not just the bot. Then the sales side of things. If you're really offering sales, again, I'm not going to go too in depth on this because I know 99% of you aren't going to be selling sales training to businesses, but the training, closer placement, coaching, AI assistant, that sort of stuff. Again, if you're in a position where you are confident in selling all of this, that's a real money maker. But even just the AI itself, you can do very, very well. All right, now, so we identified the business needs. We selected a niche. We know to select a profitable niche, and we know how to develop an AI offer, right? So let's just cover this real quick. Business needs, lead gen, the main business needs, right? Lead gen, appointments, sales. Write that down. Number 2, the niches. Pick any niche. They all work, but make sure you have the systems in place that we're going to cover here later. And number 3, how do you construct a good AI offer, right? You want to cover the 3 main things that businesses are willing to pay a ton for: lead gen, appointments, sales, right? So let's keep it going here. Now, how do we outreach to these businesses? This is a big one because how do we get in contact with? You could have the best offer in the world, you can have the best niche in the world, and you could know how to identify needs like nobody else. But if you don't have a way to put yourself in front of businesses, it doesn't mean fucking anything, right? It just doesn't. If you don't have businesses either coming to you through ads or you going to them through outreach or content, whatever it may be, then it just doesn't matter, right? So how do we get in contact with these clients? So there's a lot of different ways actually, right? So this is the client acquisition process for an AI offer. And so in terms of the actual process itself, and again, if you guys want me to make a video separately on how to do cold outreach, how I was able to close my first 5 clients doing cold outreach themselves, and this is my old agency, this is lead gen services. I closed all of them with just cold outreach. If you guys want me to do a separate video breaking down that entire process, let me know and I will. So Acquiring leads. How do you acquire these leads? Where do you find these people that you're reaching out to? And so this is one way, and it's DMs, right? Facebook DMs, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn DMs. What other? Can you do DMs on TikTok? Can you do DMs on YouTube? I don't know. I don't think so, but reach out to people wherever you want. That's how you acquire leads, right? You can buy lead databases. You can, run ads, which I'll get into here. Paid acquisition. That's our bread and butter. That's what we use to acquire 99% of our clients. And then we also get a few from organic, a good amount from organic, which is a video like this, for example. And so in terms of paid acquisition, how do you set up ads? How do you run ads? We use Facebook. And so we use Facebook and Instagram ads. There's a couple ways that we go about it, okay? So I'm going to show you what some of our ad creatives look like that do very, very well. And so this here is an example of a creative that we launched that did very, very well. And we've run a ton of different variations of this, and this is very good. And what this is a demo. It's a demo call recording of the AI speaking to somebody and booking them in or handling them good and converting them. And so these do very, very well.
Listen, you need
As
to
you can
stop
see,
calling this number. This is the 5th fucking time this week that you're calling. Okay? I'm tired of these calls.
so you can see in the beginning, there's a good pattern interrupt, right? There's the swearing, the beeping. Again, most people don't do those types of things, but it catches your attention. If you're scrolling, you hear beep and then swearing, that's catching your attention. And so this ad actually did very, very well. We still run variations of this, I believe, but it does do very, very good. So that's one way you can do ads. Now, there are other options as well. There's websites like Arcads, for example. Arcads, I don't have an account because personally, I don't use it, but it can do well. It's just AI UGC content. So you can create AI videos. Let me deny this real quick. You can create videos of AI people saying what you want. You can put B-roll and all that sort of stuff. And so you can create AI videos to cover what you want. Again, they are just talking head videos, which don't usually perform the best unless you are well known and have kind of a personal brand and people know you already a bit. But again, it's very easy to set up, always worth testing. So this is a good platform as well. There's another one called Creatify. I believe, yeah, Creatify is what it's called. Very similar. Again, test them out, see which one performs better. The biggest thing about ads is testing, right? Test your different copies, your different headlines. I have a separate video showing how we launch our entire campaign step by step. You can check that out as well. I can even maybe put this up on one of the corners here, maybe up here. I think it's up. Yeah, I think it's up there, maybe up there. You can click that. It's me breaking down an entire Facebook ad campaign structure and setting it up. So those are a couple different ways you can go about that. And now let's go back to this here. So you have the paid acquisition, right? And you're sending them to a funnel ideally, right? Where you want to capture their information. And so I'll show you an example of our funnel here. So this is where we send people from our ads. They come here, and we're calling them out right away with a nice VSL. Before you book, there's a couple main things you want to have on your funnel, right? You're calling out your ideal audience. Ours is business owners doing 50K per month. We're relatively broad with niches, right? And so because we're in a bit of a different position, people know our face in the AI space. So now, appointment set 10,000 leads per minute using our conversational AI infrastructure. That's a headline that catches attention. And then we have a VSL. The VSL is very, very important throughout this whole process because, as you can see, ours is about 25 minutes, almost 26 minutes, very long, right? But there's a ton of important information inside of this VSL. We usually don't even take calls with people if they don't watch our VSL because we know how much information is inside of here, that it is handling 90% of their main objections, answering 90% of their main questions, and making them want to buy more after they watch it than they did before. That's what you want your VSL to do. That's how important a good VSL is because on our bookings, for example, we don't even let people book unless they select that they have watched the VSL. If you haven't, we're calling you, we're making sure that you do watch it before the call, or we're canceling it because we don't want to waste our time with people who aren't watching this VSL when we know if you do watch it, your objections will be handled, your questions will be answered, and you'll want to buy. That's how important VSL is. We have the buttons, of course, that take you to book a demo call, a couple case studies. They're broad case studies with businesses we've worked with in the past, showing what their kind of results were, little testimonials there, niches that it works in, and then have a couple demos down below. And so that's the way we set up our funnel. And then you click book a demo call. And what this does is this takes you to a qualifier. The whole point of this here is to filter out the unqualified leads. Because like I said before, every niche has qualified leads and unqualified leads, right? You know that. So every niche has businesses that are making $1 million a month. Every niche has businesses that are making $100 a month. I don't want those $100 a month businesses. I want the $1 million a month businesses, right? And so that way we're filtering out the really unqualified businesses. So here, you want to have this in every niche. Let's say you're targeting solar companies. You only want to work with solar companies that are making $50K a month. Your question can be, does your solar company make $50,000 a month in revenue? If they say no, you kick them out of the funnel. If they say yes, they move to book a call. Very straightforward. For us, it's if you click 0 to 10K, you get kicked out. And then if you click anything else, you get sent through. Because even sometimes 0 to 10K, 10K to 25K a month people, they're sometimes willing to pay like 5, 10K. So where did they get sent after this? They get sent to a calendar page. And so let me show you what this looks like here. This is where they actually book their call. And so they're booking their call here. And then what this looks like is there's a couple questions here. And so what are you looking to do with our AI infrastructure? Explain your business in 1 to 3 sentences. What's your biggest challenge, marketing or sales challenge holding you back? If you had a guaranteed ROI, are you willing to invest 5K plus? Have you watched the VSL? If no, do not book in before watching. And so we're very strict on that. And then do you agree to honor your slot? And so these are just basic questions to get more information from the prospect and make sure we have more info going into the call. And then also after they book, one of our team members calls them within 5 minutes, calls them, confirms all their information, make sure they are as qualified as they said. And if he finds out that they're unqualified, he'll cancel them themselves. Then after that call, which we call a confirmation call, we have a script for that and everything. And then after that call's done, we call him our sales coordinator. He fills out a form. He fills out a form with all the information, lets us know if they're financially qualified, when they're looking to move forward with this. Is it now, in 2 weeks, a month? Are all decision makers going to be on the call? Their main pains, their desires, all this sort of stuff, their current situation. So we get even more in-depth information before going into the sales call. And they also submit a rating between 1 and 4. 1, unqualified, he cancels them. 4, ready to pay, they're good to go, super qualified. And so he submits a rating between 1 to 4. And that way our closer goes onto the call with all the information they could possibly need to get on that call and to be able to close that prospect. Now, after they book their call, they get sent to a thank you page. The point of this thank you page is to increase the show up rate. And so our show up rate is consistently between about 87 and 92%. Very, very good show up rate. That's one thing that's been good for us since the very beginning. Numbers fluctuate. Our show up rate has been amazing since the beginning. So what do? Our show up rate is very high because of this thank you page, largely because of the thank you page and the confirmation call that I just talked about. And so first thing is step 1, it's important to complete these 3 steps. If you don't, we'll be forced to cancel your call and give your slot to somebody else. Watch this 93-second video. This is literally just me sitting there saying, thank you for booking your call. Thank you for booking your call. Make sure you do these next 2 steps. We look forward to transforming your business, yada, yada, yada. Nothing too crazy. It's a 93-second video. Then they go below and we make sure you select yes. Show up rate massively increases if the person just selects yes on their booking. You may think it's crazy, but it massively, massively increases the show up rate. We also get them to send us a text or reply to our emails confirmations when they book with just saying yes. That, you guys may think that's crazy, but that is a massive effect on the show up rate. And then our VSL down below again. We're making sure that they watch the VSL all the way through. And so we are making sure that they watch this entirely. And so that's the VSL again, right? That shows the importance of it, right? And so that's our funnel. Then they book and they get a ton of automations. So what automations do they get? What does that look like here? Let's go ahead and show you. So let's come into here. We're in our booked call. As you can see, we have a shit ton of automations. So let's go in here. And so it is this one right here, booking reminder workflow. So this is what it looks like. And so first thing we do is a custom webhook. This collects all their information and then sends it to a Zap. And I'm not going to go over Zaps. You guys want me to make a video covering our Zaps? Let me know. I'll do it. We have a ton of Zaps. Got to be over 100, 150 Zaps set up at this point to automate really everything. And then, update their opportunities in the pipeline, remove them from all other workflows so they're not still getting our nurturing sequences. The first email is a confirmation reminder from me saying, hey, just want to let you know your call's confirmed. Very, very straightforward. That's it. Then wait 2 minutes. And now the first real email. Action required, your Insight AI call. Hey, this is Jax, the co-founder of Insight AI. Thanks for booking a time to speak. You'll be speaking with Sanad, who's our closer. And we just put Chad there because he's fine with people calling him Chad, who is our head growth consultant. He's very experienced in the AI space, but yada, yada, yada. It's a transfer of trust. If you're closing your deals, you don't need this. But if you have somebody else taking your sales calls, you want to have a transfer of trust because these people see your face, right? Especially if, like me, you're posting content and stuff. You have a school community, whatever it may be. These people see you. And then they're taking a call with somebody, they have no clue who it is. So you need to do a transfer of trust. Let them know, hey, this guy's legit. He's good. He knows what he's doing. He's going to take care of everything you need on the call, help you out, and make sure that you are very clear on the best next steps to help you reach your goals. That's how we go about it. And then an SMS, exact same thing. And then now the transfer of trust is done. So you can see these emails are being, this first email sent from me, right? Me and my email, which is the one that populates that field. Now these emails are getting sent from Chad, and they're from his email. So now we respond to that email with Chad saying, hey, this is Sanad from Inside AI, looking forward to our call, blah, blah, blah. And then same with the SMS. And, this one is 1 hour before. They get one right when they book, 1 hour before, and then 15 minutes before. And so it's very, very straightforward. That's what we do here. Now, one other workflow I do want to show you guys. I'm not going to go too in depth. Again, if you guys want a video of me covering all our sequences, because look how many damn sequences we have, folders and everything, then I can, but I'll cover just briefly the calls. So the AI calls, right? So how this works is we have the triggers, and then we have the actual calls. So how this works, and this is what we build for clients as well when we're building the AI into their business. So this will give you guys a good idea here what that looks like. So first thing, a lead gets added in here. We wait 7 minutes, and then if the lead, because we want to give them a chance to book organically, right? Some leads book themselves, so we give them 7 minutes, and then if the workflow is in the booking workflow, then we don't call them because they booked. We don't want to call them and bug them, right? But if they haven't booked, then they get sent down this way. A tag gets added, and then that tag adds them to another workflow, which I'll show you, which triggers a call. And then that goes on for as long as you want. We have it set up for about 10 days. You can set up to go forever if you want. And then every time it will check if they're in that workflow, which they can only be in that workflow if they booked. So if they're in that workflow, we don't call them. If they're not, we call them. So what that workflow looks like, very straightforward, is this here. And so what we do is a webhook, which this triggers the AI to call them with their phone number and their name. Then we wait and we send them a quick text with some info, and then that is it. And so that's just quickly running through what that looks like. Now let's head back over here. So you convert the leads, right? You convert the leads by capturing their info and sending them to that funnel. You're sending them, ideally, if you have YouTube videos, you're sending them videos. You're sending them your VSL in the emails. You're sending them stuff to build trust leading up to the call, because trust is huge. Trust is a whole section here, right? Because you want to establish trust by providing free content and resources. We send over a shit ton of my YouTube videos, of Nick's YouTube videos, breaking down how to use the platform, testimonies we've got with clients. We're sending all of this over because they booked, right? They booked, which is great. You don't want to celebrate a booking, though, because a booking doesn't matter unless they close. So from the point they book all the way to the point they get on the call, you want to be hammering them with content, free resources, stuff that can provide them value without them even needing to close. That way you build trust. Then when you close clients, you get them good results. That in turn builds good testimonials, which then down the line allows you to raise your prices once you've done it enough for enough people. So I know that's quite a bit there, but we're already at the 30-minute mark here. So how do we close these deals, right? We know how to now identify business needs, select a profitable niche, develop an AI offer, outreach to businesses. How do we close these deals? Because a lot of you are probably wondering, hey, I've never, closed a 10K upfront deal before. How do I do that? I've never done that before. Will people actually pay me 10K upfront? And the answer is yes. There's a few ways about why, right? Firstly, let me let you know that every single person, myself included, who you see closing 10K deals was at one point had never closed a 10K deal before, but they did. So if they can do it, can you do it? Do you think? Yes, you fucking can. If they can do it, you can do it. That's the way it goes, right? Why wouldn't you be able to do it if I can do it, if everybody else can do it? If you've never closed a 10K deal, your first 10K deal needs to come, or you're never going to close a 10K deal, right? It sounds redundant. It sounds crazy that I'm saying this, but it's true. And so get that belief out of your head. And so build trust, establish credibility through social proof and authority. You most likely don't have social proof and authority if you're starting out, right? That comes with time. So when you don't have those, what do? You need to facilitate the decision making with urgency and easy options. You need to sell the outcome. You're selling the dream. You're speaking with confidence. You're speaking with conviction. That goes such a long way. Even if you have no testimonials, even if you have no case studies, if you can tell the person, look them dead in the eyes with absolute 100% conviction and tell them you can do this dream outcome for them with what you're offering, it doesn't matter if you have testimonials or not. They're going to pay you. And when I started taking sales calls and I had no closes yet, we had no testimonials or anything, I was like, I'm just going to speak with confidence about everything. And that's how we ended up closing our first client. That's how we did 32K in the first 3 weeks of selling Voice AI with no experience, no knowledge, no nothing. We were in the exact same position as a lot of you guys probably are. But Nick and I went into it, we're going to speak with 100% confidence. We're going to act like we know what we're doing until we can work with these businesses and actually know what we're doing. And then we did. And now we scaled much, much farther. Prove value and ROI. You're not selling an AI bot. I've said this already. You're not selling an AI bot. You're not selling a chat bot. You're not selling an agent that can speak over the phone. You are selling something. You're selling the outcome. What does implementing that AI bot do for them? Does it save them tons of hours on the phone? Does it allow them to no longer need to manage, train, hire people to fulfill this role? Does it allow them to get their appointments on autopilot and never need to stress about that again? Does it allow them to increase their revenue, increase their appointment booking rate, increase their follow-up rate, never let a lead slip through the cracks again? All of those are outcomes from implementing the AI bot. You never want to tell them about the features. You don't want to tell them it can make 10,000 calls a minute. You don't want to tell them it can, it dials to voice AI, it speaks over the phone, it can get triggered through XYZ. You want to tell them what that can do for them in turn, not so you can sell it. Now, number 6, the final thing here. How do you deliver these AI solutions? You close the deal, they pay you, they signed your agreement. How do you actually deliver the AI solutions? So, there's a couple ways, all right? There's 3 main ways that you can deliver AI solutions. 1 is hire freelancers. 2 is learn to do it yourself. 3 is use an agency or a fulfillment partner. So what does that look like? Option 1 is do it yourself. There's pros and cons to all of these, right? Option 1 is do it yourself. You learn the tools, you build the bots, you wire it all together. Pros, you keep all the money. You're not paying anybody to do it. Your margins are going to be very, very high. You learn the tech, which isn't easy, especially for complex builds, but you learn the tech. It might take months, years, whatever, but you learn it. And 3, you're in control. You're in full control, right? Nobody else is doing it. You're in full control. The cons, very, very time consuming. 2, not scalable at all. You can't do fulfillment yourself forever if you have 30 clients, right? It's just not going to happen. And 3, you'll get stuck on advanced builds unless you're a tech person, which most of you aren't, right? I'm not either. So it's good for your first few clients, but not for scaling. Now, option 2, outsource to Fiverr and Upwork. You can go on Fiverr and Upwork, find people that are software engineers. There's probably even AI engineers nowadays that role AI engineers and stuff like that. And so you can find those. They're going to be fairly cheap, probably between 300 and maybe 1,500 bucks for complex builds. And so you hire freelance devs to build the work for you. Pros, they're cheap. They're simple for basic tasks. That's really the pros. Cons, inconsistent quality because they're maybe in Pakistan, India, overseas, whatever, right? Far from you. And you can't really hold them accountable, which is second here, no accountability. They can disappear mid-project. Fiverr and Upwork's actually gone a bit better at that, refunding you and stuff if they do disappear. But if they disappear, you get your money back short, but now your client's delayed. That's not ideal. And they don't think strategically, right? They just build what you tell them to, which again isn't ideal. And so you don't want to be babysitting freelancers when clients are paying you 10K. That's my opinion. I've never, ever, ever worked with Fiverr and Upwork because I just didn't want to. I've had bad experiences in the past. We hired our in-house engineer, which then brings us to option number 3. Use a specialized dev team. This is what we do for our clients. We do all the fulfillments for our clients. And so let AI engineers plus automation experts handle the fulfillment for you. That's what our engineers, we have a team of engineers, solutions engineers, that's what they do for our clients and our partners. So pros, fast professional builds, no tech skills required because somebody else is doing it for you, and you focus on sales and scale, let the experts do the delivery. Cons, there's really none other than which I could be added as you pay them, right? So for us, we ask for 10% of the deal. So if you close a deal for 10K, pay us 1,000, we do the whole build for you. You profit 9K. You don't need to lift a finger. You just sit there and let us do it. Close your next deal. So you sell the vision, we build the machine behind it. That's what we do for businesses. I recommend that's the best way to go because we've done, like, for example, we've done it so many times that we have a process, which I'll show you in a second here, that makes it very, very easy and it's very streamlined. All right. And so this here actually is our onboarding process. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick. So agreement signed, and this is, let's say you're a partner. This is from the perspective of our partners, our clients. Let's say you close a deal for 10K, right? They pay you, they sign your agreement, then you fill out this form, giving us a bit of information, your email, and then you pay the 10%. That triggers in a Zap, which sends an email to you, which says this here. Below are the 3 steps. Make sure every question is as detailed as possible, blah, blah, blah. The client will letting you know what the next steps in the process are. And you give this form to your client. They're filling that out. Very, very extensive form. We give that form to our end user clients that we work with directly when we're building it in for businesses. And then the client fills that out. Name, email, phone number, business name, login info on our platform, which they can create their account right there. A Q&A doc for questions and objections that they usually get for their business, so we can give that info to the AI so it's equipped to handle those. A script that they're currently using, their team's using, maybe an AI that they've tried is using, because that gives us a good idea of what they're currently doing. That's, if it's working, we'll follow a similar structure. If not, we'll know to avoid it. And then how many agents did they purchase? What's the purpose of them? How many follow-up calls do they want the AI to do? Explain their business as if they were talking to a kid, their niche, main problems they face. This is a very extensive form, and we want everything out of this because when they finish this, they book a call, which is their onboarding call, which gets booked on our solutions engineer's calendar. And then all the information from that form gets stored in a Google Sheet so we can keep track of it, and then gets sent to our solutions engineer. That gets sent in Discord, notifies our solutions engineer that a partner has submitted their done for you fulfillment form. Then he has the onboarding initiation call, which is where he's getting all the information, making sure all the info on the form they submit is accurate. Then he's starting the build, doing the integration, the follow-up triggers, the webhooks, the post-call outcomes, pre-call outcomes, everything. Then hop on a final call with the business to launch the AI, make sure everything's good. And that's a smooth onboarding process and a happy client with a ton of referrals and endless money, right? So that's what the onboarding process looks like. That's what we do for businesses. And so that's why I personally think this is the best way to go, because everybody, tries these in the beginning. We did it ourselves to start, and then we eventually hired developers. But yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. But that's how you can do it if you don't have tech skills, right? Hire on Fiverr and Upwork, or use an agency like ours, for example. So, and again, if you do want to use an agency like ours and work with us, there's a couple links below you can check out. But again, no pressure. So we've kind of covered everything here now, right? So the business needs: select a profitable niche, develop an AI offer, outreach to businesses, close deals, deliver AI solutions. Then if we scroll up here, that kind of encompasses the whole AI agency success pyramid. Now you want to repeat that process over and over again and continue to scale higher on people. And look, guys, please, if there's any aspects of this you want me to make a separate video on, going solely in depth on how to do that individually itself, comment below. I'll do that. But for now, guys, that is an in-depth walkthrough of everything inside of here. I hope that gives you guys a ton of clarity on how to go about your AI agency. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything, comment down below. And if you do want to work with us, again, like I said, there's a bunch of links down there that you can check out. Also my Instagram, where I post free value, everything like that. But yeah, this is how you can start and scale your agency so you can get to the 10K, 20K, and 30K a month mark.